Moishe,
Yes.
you going back to Brooklyn tomorrow?
Huh?
Tell me a story. That's the wrong date.
So how would be? How will it be tomorrow?
How will what be tomorrow?
Huh?
How will what be tomorrow?
What time?
Where were you born?
Poland. Poland.
Go ahead. Tell me a whole story while I got the camera going. I always wanted to get your story.
I was born Poland. Adam. 1924 January.
And a family of how many people?
6 kids in the family.
Yeah. What is everybody's name?
Name is Motto, Ansel, AB, Max, Ida, and Bella.
And you're Max. And your parents were?
All in the water.
And you were the oldest, the youngest, or in the middle?
I was the middle one.
Number 3, number 4?
I was number 3.
Number 3.
Yeah.
And did you go to school? You went to school?
I went to school, Jewish school.
How many days a week did you go to school?
5 days.
A whole day?
A whole day.
All 6 went to school? All 6 of you went to school a whole day?
All the 6. My older sister had worked already. And Ida worked. And I still went to school. I helped out my father to make hips.
Yes. What kind of apartment did you have? Did you have a swimming pool in your backyard?
Yeah, swimming pool. Just swimming pool.
So what kind of house did you live in? What kind of a house did you live in?
I got 2-story. We live in the bottom, somebody else lived in the top.
Oh, no kidding. And the person who owned the house?
The guy owned the house. It was about, I think must be at least maybe 25 apartments.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't a 2-family house, it was like an apartment building. How much rent did you pay? Do you remember how much you paid?
I don't remember.
No. Do you remember the conditions?
Wasn't even water in the house.
No, so
You had to go out with you got to go out outside and bring in a pail of water.
And for the bathroom too?
The whole house was in it.
You had to go out to the bathroom?
All of 25 apartments. It wasn't there steam.
No. You had a fireplace?
Like wood and coal. They used to burn in the winter time.
So you sit around the fire?
No, it wasn't electric ovens like it's now.
You had a nice warm winter coat?
You
had a nice warm winter coat?
Still I was freezing to death. With the winter coat. It was very cold in Poland. It wasn't like in New York. Very cold. The whole window was ice. You couldn't look out.
Right,
It took a few days that the ice comes out from the windows because it was cold.
So where did you get the food from?
We used to put up like a little oven. We used to put in coal. Friday night they used to make a fire in the oven. This lasted till Sunday. A lot of coals. You tied up. It was high, maybe a 6-footer. And we were sitting for the weekend to warm up the hands.
So where did you get the food from?
Food?
Food.
Without the money.
You just went to the local
Poland
city.
got a lot of food.
You had a lot of food.
They had more food before the war than now.
Huh.
It wasn't a shortage and nothing.
Then what?
Then the Germans came in 1938.
Your father was religious during the holidays?
Yeah.
And you,
He used to have a little beard, my father.
was he strict or?
I think he used to tap him every morning, my father.
He used to what?
He used to tap him every morning with the
Filling?
film, you know. Went to shoes Saturday with my father. It was a poor life.
So if the war didn't break out, you would have just been a cap maker in Poland.
I helped out in the heart, and then I was a courier. Because in the winter time I worked by 4. In the summertime I helped out my father.
Making caps. So where did you get the
I
job?
was the only one. I helped him out.
What did the other kids do?
Avi was younger than me, 4 years younger. And then Ida was working, and I think my older sister was working. I was the one who took out the caps in the morning and brought them back when they started to get dark from the street. You know?
What you had like
market,
a you had like a little
flea
stand like in a
market,
flea
yes.
market. So how many caps would you take to the flea market?
No doubt.
10 caps?
I took. Somebody helped me because it was a big, like a box, put in all the kinds of caps, making for the school, all of the styles for the school. Every school got a different cap.
So you sold them for the students, you mean? For the students?
Put in like in the street like 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, and like 5, 6 high. Then I think at the end of the week Thursday was all of these people came in with a hose, with a hose, like farmers, like 30 miles, 40 miles. All of these farmers came in with a hose, with a wagon, a wooden wagon, and they came with chicken in that time. They came with potatoes, all of butter, cheeses, all the kinds of cheeses. They came from the
farms?
From the farm
So
to sell the stuff in the big city.
so would you
And then
trade?
They bought caps, they bought suits, they bought shoes, they bought everything.
So would you trade?
Once a big.
Would you trade some of the caps for food? Is that what you would do, or
Huh?
would you give them caps for in
They
exchange
bought
for
the
food?
money,
And then you-
bought with them the other
food.
things. Yeah. The whole street was lined up with horses, with the wooden wagons. This is why they brought in the stuff with the wagons, with the wooden wagons.
Every day or just on the weekend
no,
or
only
what?
once a week, Thursday.
Thursday before the
One day
weekend.
a week, every Thursday was a market. But we took out the caps every day because they sold. It was a big city.
But in the summertime, you didn't sell that many caps, did you?
We sold the whole year.
Even in the summertime.
Yeah. Make him a whole year round. And the holidays.
Sure.
You know? People bought that caps.
Did you have a name to the business, or is it just
Huh? Everybody was wearing a cap.
you didn't have a store or anything in the house or anything
No.
like that? No, just
People
like
came into the house to buy hats.
they came into your house to buy hats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a sign outside the house, or
Huh?
did you have a sign outside of your door, or
Yeah, but they know us. They
people
came
knew?
in, yeah.
They just found.
Because used to be in the house, in this house where the 24 families live. You got the shoemaker, and you got people who sold suits and caps. You know, the whole area was suits. All of these farmers came down to buy stuff there. So, then in 1939, I think, 1938, I think, when the war started with Germany.
Did you know it was going to start before it started, or it started one morning?
Hmm?
Did you know the war was going to start?
We know that
You knew that something was coming.
something is coming, because England's supposed to go into the war, and then they refused to go into the war. They said if Germany would attack Poland, England will help them,
Hmm.
but they didn't. They said they will come into war, but they didn't come in.
So if you knew something was coming,
Yeah.
what did your father do to prepare?
They didn't got time to prepare even, because they started to march, and they came in 3 days. They were in Poland. You couldn't even run away. A lot of people tried to run away, but you couldn't run. Everybody then started to come in planes, and they started to boom. The houses, everything was shaking.
Do you know people that ran away?
People started to hide in the apartment. There was no place to hide. And people started around, everybody started around, didn't know what to do.
So that was the first day? They came marching into your town? Not
Came to march, you come in to meet...
the same day that they were bombing, then they came in, marched
We
in?
were there later, sure, because it's coming to motorcycles right in the front, and right away they saw you in the street. Right away they try to grab you. And a lot of them, they shot right the first day, the second day.
Hmm.
And 2 days later they started to come down. Germans tried to pick you up, to take you to work.
Well, wait a second. After they marched in the first day, you went back home at night. Did you go back at
Oh,
home?
I didn't know what to do.
So you went home.
We didn't want to leave the parents alone.
So, but everybody in your family came home that night,
Uh,
right? And what did your father say that night?
we wanted to start to go to the Russian side, because was very far away.
So he wanted to leave the house.
And only your parents didn't let us leave the house.
But you wanted to go to the Russian side?
Huh?
You wanted to
We
go
wanted to try, but you couldn't go.
Well, who's we? You? Just you, or you with the whole family?
The whole family, everybody wants to go, but the parents didn't let us go. They said they will kill you on the road while you're going there.
Hmm. What happened to
You
people?
couldn't go run away, like here, run away with a car, with a motorcycle. You couldn't go, you got to book.
So you couldn't get away.
You go, sure. Even if you wanted to go away, you're going to go away.
So what happened the following day?
Well, I think they came in maybe a day later, 2 days. The Germans started to roam around to look for the young people. And then they make laws that they got all the Jews got to move into one location, make a ghetto.
I'm confused. When was the last time, the day you saw your brothers and sisters, that day?
My mother and sisters I saw. One day my father got up in the morning to buy some food, and he comes in, and the police start to talk to a microphone that everybody got to go out from the house. They give him 15 minutes. My father came into the house and told us, everybody, I was still sleeping. This was maybe 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
That everybody got to go out. And everybody, I started to pick a pair of pens with a shirt under my arm. I didn't got time to take something else. And anybody who would be left in the house would be shot to death. So we left the house.
Your whole family was in the house at the
Yeah.
time, your brothers and sisters?
I started to rest fast. You got only a few minutes left. I started to run out in the street. People were wild, running with kids, with babies. They lost the packages what they got in the arm. I lost my pens. and you saw Germans with machine guns. They were shooting from all sides,
So after
all
that,
directions.
after that point, you didn't see.
After I went out of the street,
Right.
you saw a lot of Germans trying to put the people in a line, four in a line. There was lines in all directions, and they started to shoot from all directions. The Germans with bullets. A lot of people got killed, and you don't know where you run. And then most of the people got out of the house, and a lot of children got left in the house, and they threw them through the windows, the Germans. And they tried to take him to the wagons, to the people. And we were marching a whole line. I was looking for my sister, I was looking for my brother, I didn't see nobody. Because everybody tried to hide, not to be shot to death. And then they took maybe half of the people, and they took him. They didn't got enough place where to push him in the wagons like cattle. Like this, they push him in, and then send him away to the concentration camp. And the half of it, and the other half, they didn't got the wagons. They left them, and they told them to go back home.
How long after when Germany started, the first time they came in, when they started bombing, did they line you up in the street? What was the period of time?
They just bombed that time.
No. The first day they started bombing, when they first came in, when England said that they weren't going to enter the war.
Yeah, we thought that.
How long was the period of time from that day until when you were standing in the street? How many days was it that you were standing in the street?
When they bombed, the Germans still wasn't in Radom. You see, they came in maybe a day, 2 days later after that.
And then at that point, they lined you up for concentration camps already.
It took yeah.
So the concentration camps were already set up.
It took a few more. Yeah. They built the concentration camp. It took maybe a year and a half. The concentration, they came in 39, and I think they started to liquidate. I think about a year and a half.
So you were under German occupation.
Yeah.
Were you under German occupation for a year before they?
I was working,
before you worked where?
I was. He went out to work every day.
What kind of work?
Make roads.
So you just worked for a whole year?
They brought us back. They took us in the morning. They brought us back.
And you didn't get paid for the work?
No.
Did you get paid for the work?
No,
They
they give you just very little food.
Oh, so they just gave you food to live.
Mm.
So did everybody in your family work?
Most of
Coffee? Yeah, okay. I'm talking 5 more minutes.
I said 5
All right.
minutes coffee.
Yeah, half of them they put in shuttles. Like shuttle trucks, and they take them away. The other half, they told to go home. Go home, and 2 days later at night, they try to take out the rest of the people from these homes.
Well, you went home the first night. So you were on the line of
We
the
didn't know,
people.
yeah, they took away. First time they took away. Then when I came home, I didn't see more than me and Navy.
So everybody else was on the other line from your family.
Yeah.
So you never saw them
And
again.
Ida was she went out before this happened, I think, to a place she was working with Maya. Maya's brother took them into a place where he was working for the Germans. So they know that it's going to be like liquidate the Jews. So he took them into this place. In that time, he doesn't live Maya's brother doesn't live here. The Germans shot him. But when I came to my house, I didn't see my mother, my father, and my sister. and another brother. I didn't know what happened to them.
How old were you? How old were you?
Huh?
How old were you?
Me? I was in that time 20 years old. And Navy was 16 years old. 1940, 1941. So 2 days later, they put in light, like you see this very high beams. They wanted to take these people to send them to a concentration camp. So the people who they put in to a concentration camp, they put them on one side, and you have to show that you got a card that you work for the Germans. So they told you to go into a different street, and we didn't know which street is good and which is bad, which they sent to concentration camps, and which they will live in the ghetto.
You didn't know it was a concentration camp, did you? Or did you know it was just...
I didn't know where
So-
they send these people
Right.
to liquidate, to they send them to work. But it didn't came out like this. They sent them to the death camp.
So you had a card, so you didn't get on the train.
Yeah, I didn't got because me they left because I was working for the Germans by roads. Me in Navy in the same.
So you and Abe had a card. Aunt Ida had a card?
Yeah, a car that we work for.
Did Aunt Ida have a card?
Ida didn't see. I didn't know it. Ida went to night. Ida went with Maya to a different place. The Germans. She slept over. She slept over there in the place where she was working.
She was married already? Aunt
Uh,
Ida? To Uncle Maya?
Yeah, she was married.
How long was she married? She must have...
Ida used to have a baby. The baby died when the Germans came in
Mhm.
from malnutrition.
From what?
Because
From malnutrition?
Yeah, got sick and you couldn't tell to the Germans this or to doctors. So my older sister got a baby too. She was married. And
What was the baby's name? Do you remember? I don't remember those things.
So at that time we were spared. And that night, and then we used to go up on the ghetto with German used to come in to take out the work and bring us back at night.
Right.
So I made contact with, and Ida was working on this road in a different place.
So what happened then?
And that time they took us to work one day on the road with a truck, and I made up with Ida. Ida was working on a farm on the same road. And when this road passed by Ida's place, the farm place, she was outside waiting for us to throw down some stuff what we got.
You mean food?
Huh?
Food?
No, not food. It was like some clothing and other things. And then we throw down. And then a few days later, we jumped from the truck. There was a lot of people on the truck, like all the truck. And I jumped when the truck slowed down. I jumped down, and we started to run because this was on the road, but the farm was like to jump down and running. So we jumped from the truck, me and Navy, and went to work on the farm. There was a few Germans there, you know. They used to they have horses there, the Germans. And from there, I worked a few months there on the farm. A few months, then I worked for the Wehrmacht.
Which was what?
The Wehrmacht. You got the Wehrmacht and they got the SS. We worked for the Wehrmacht, then they gave an order that the Wehrmacht got to let the Jews out from there, to liquidate this place. Only the Jewish people can be where the SS are. So they took us from there to the ghetto back. In the ghetto, then either took us to the ghetto, or I ran away from the place as possible. I ran at the time away to the ghetto because they were saying that they're going to liquidate the place. So I went into the ghetto. Abi was running and they got us in the ghetto on a truck, and they brought us in a place where they make ammunition. This is 30 miles from Radom. They brought us to this place, and they brought Aidan, and Maya, and Sam, and Dora, and David, and Abi, and I was working there. Everybody was working in a different things. There we were maybe working up about 2 years in this ammunition place, which is called Pionki. They,
What kind of work did you do there?
huh?
You
Ammunition, everybody, I worked by coals. I brought in big wagons of coals, about 20 tons, 25 tons. They used to throw down the coals from these trucks. You know, it was like a rail with trucks.
How many days a week did you work there? How many days a week?
This was maybe 7 days a week. They used to take us out in the middle of the night. We used to come home 9 o'clock at night, and 10 o'clock they came into the barracks and took us back to work. Because wagon with coals came into the place. So whoever they pick, they took you out from the bed.
What if you were too tired to go?
Hmm?
What if you were too tired to go?
What?
What if you didn't want to go to work? You were too tired.
They shot you. See, because this was Ukraine, and I can never mention anybody who they saw took him to work. And, we were working there about 2 years. Then they found, I think they found by AB, they used to go through a little room, and they used to check anybody, whatever one got their food or the other thing, what you bring in from the
The ghetto?
Polak Poles used to come in to work there too. So a lot of times you give them something and they brought you some food, Poles.
Mm-hmm.
But when they brought you in from outside, they check up your pockets if you have anything put there. And if they got you, they beat you to death. They didn't let you take in even food there. So one day, Abe made up his mind, and he ran away from this.
Well, what happened? They caught him with some food on him, or Abe,
yeah.
Uncle Abe?
Yeah.
What?
Caught him with the food in this place. He got something there. We came in from work, and they caught him and they put him on the floor, and they used to beat him up. But he got up and he ran away in the place where the barracks was. And they were looking for them, the Ukraine, and they couldn't find him. The next day, the couple, you know, he used to have a factory there working inside this ammunition factory. He used to make clothing for the Germans. So he said to my sister that she should try to find his brother. Otherwise, we will be responsible for him. Because if they don't find him, they will hang the closest family. So they couldn't find AB, and AB ran away from there, and he went to the ghetto. And now it's still a ghetto with Jewish people there in Radom.
Mm-hmm.
And this passed by maybe months and months, and AB used to tell me that I should come in there into the ghetto, that I can make a little living there if I make caps in the ghetto. So I ran away with another two guys during the night. We saw that the Germans passing by they used the girders. We saw that they passing by. We cut the wire, and we went to the need, and we went out from there during the night. Me and the two guys.
Who were the two guys?
The two guys were from a small town. I used to know them.
Are they still alive?
We ran away together. Then everybody split up there, went by himself. And I tried to walk. I see that a German comes with a motorcycle, right 50 feet away from me. So I ran into the woods. And I thought that he is running after me, but I hid there for a few hours, and I went out from the woods, and then I went to the ghetto. This was maybe about 20 miles to the ghetto, to Radom, where I used to live. And then we spent there a few months.
Where did you live when you got to the ghetto?
I went into a friend, he took me in there to the room, and we used to sleep together.
You found Uncle Abe when you got to the
Yeah,
ghetto?
we found Uncle Abe,
In Ida?
and they used to, you see, I wasn't, I wasn't supposed to be there, because you're supposed to have a card that you belong to the ghetto, otherwise they will kill you. So I was hanging around there. I was hanging around there for a nice couple months. And then they liquidated this ghetto, free of Jews.
How did they do that?
They send them, a lot of them they take to concentration camp, and a lot of them that took them on the trucks. See, me, they took on a truck with AB, where you always saw clothing on the truck. They killed the big people from this ammunition place, and they pick up younger one to replace the one who killed them. And I came up in this truck, when they got me on this truck, was a few dozen of us. I hear that they're going to bring me back to the place where I ran away. So I got scared that they will kill me. So, but I was in the truck, I couldn't do nothing. When I came to this place, this was about 20 miles, 25. We went down from the truck, and they gave me a place to work, which I was afraid that the manager will recognize me. He was a Polak or an Ukrainer, I don't know. So he asked me my name, and I gave him a different name. So I spent there maybe a year, and then till 1944, and they said that the Russians start the war with Germany. That they're going to take all of these 2,000 Jews from Pionek, from the ammunition factory, and put them into Auschwitz to liquidate them. So they told us to get ready. In 2 days, that everybody got to go out from this ammunition factory, because Russia used to an offensive to go with Germany. So I was looking for a place where to hide. They told me that it will take a day or two, and the Russia will be there in the ammunition factory. They will take over all of these things. So I'm trying to find a place, but I couldn't find a place where to hide for overnight. I was looking into a sewer there, opening, and tried to put in some pillows there to be able to sleep there overnight. But I was afraid that the Germans will look into the sewers and they will kill us. Because nobody's supposed to be left there in the barracks overnight. So we were waiting for the wagons, and the wagons didn't show up. They show up maybe 2 days later. In the meantime, I was running away from this place. They said that they're going to liquidate us in Auschwitz. So I ran away with my brother.
Well, how did you get away? They weren't
Again. And my sister knew it. They said that a lot of people got shot and tried to run away from the place. And she told 100% that I was killed with AB. They ran away, and they hang around in the woods about 5 months, 6 months, till January 1945.
In the winter time?
In the winter time. We were laying in a bunker, in a hole, from 6 foot, making there a little straw bed to go down the hole and to live there. We thought that the Russian will come in.
Well, how big was the hole in the ground?
Big. It's maybe 5 by 5.
Well, how many people slept in there?
Slept there, maybe 6, 7. Yeah.
On top of each other.
On a bed from the window. And a week passed by, and a month passed by, and
Where did you get food?
The Russians didn't come in. They started to go, and then they stopped. They stopped for 6 months. We thought it would take a day or two, and then I was sorry that I ran away from this concentration camp where they make the ammunition, because I couldn't go in nowhere. I could only be in the woods.
Well, where did you get food?
We went out at night, to steal foods for the farmers at night time. And this went on already like this about 4 or 5 months. Till January started to snow, it was very cold to live there. And then the farmer said that people come up at night time to try to rob him food and everything. So they gave this up to the Germans, and the Germans tried to come into the woods, that a lot of partisans are in these woods. Then we started to go out from these woods, and we couldn't go out from these woods anymore. But by accident we went out. The woods was maybe 10 miles. We went out there, and they came in, and when we came in back in the same place at night time, 2 days later, we didn't find this bunker. Was put in bombs to this bunker. We found our bunker. Then we started to make another hole, to dig another hole in the same woods. And we were living there for a couple months till January. In January 1945,
What did
we
you
were liberated from the Russians.
What did you do a whole day in the woods?
Huh?
What did you do all day in the
Only
woods?
sleeping and cooking and hiding.
Well, if you
We
lit
couldn't
a,
do nothing.
if you started a fire to cook, didn't they see the
We
smoke?
used to cook. They used we got to cook. I got to cook in that time. But potatoes and all.
Wouldn't they see the
Yeah,
smoke?
this is why you almost got killed. Once the Polackans, and they come in to looking for blueberries and other stuff in the woods. They saw the people in the woods. They thought that this is the people who stole from them.
It was the people.
This is why we almost got killed there. One day. We ran away at that time and spent there a few months, and then January 1945, we were liberated by the Russians.
Were you ever hit by a German person, by a German officer? Did you ever get struck or anything?
Yeah, when I worked in the bad ammunition, they used to hit us because you didn't make the amount of things what they were supposed to make.
Right.
Or sometimes you didn't understand them the way you said and what he said.
So what did they do? They hit you with what?
They knock you down, and, a lot of times we were beaten up. A lot of times.
So
This
after,
is nothing. This is just. I didn't tell you even 5%.
tell me what you want to tell me.
No, it's nothing. So listen, this is what I can remember.
That's what you have the most vivid memories of? So you were liberated in which year? How did you find out you were liberated? How did you find out that the Russians liberated you?
I find out. We went out from the woods. We find out, but we were afraid to go into the city because the Russians were wild. They were looking for the Germans, and we were afraid that they will take us for Germans and they will kill us. Because they saw Germans, they kill on the spot, the Russians. So we were afraid to go into the big city. They will catch us, and they take us to the front. They pick people from the street to put them to the front.
Oh, the Russian
The
friends.
Russians, right? They didn't care who it is.
So after you were liberated, where did you go?
We were afraid even to walk the streets for a few days. Till it quiet down, then we went into Radom, and then started up a new thing. Now the Poles started to kill the Jews. Right after you came into the city.
After the Russians liberated, then the Poles were still killing the Jews. Did you go back to your original apartment where you were living?
I was afraid to go in. Just walked passed by. We were afraid to walk in. Took another apartment. And then the Poles started to be after us, that we should go out from there, otherwise they will kill us. The Poles used to throw in paper printing that we should leave this apartment, otherwise they will kill us. And we start to go over to Czechoslovakia and to go to Germany. Because Germany belonged already to the
The Allies.
part to Russia and part to American and to the England. So we couldn't pass the Russians front where the Russians were. They didn't let us go into the side to the American side. But we tried, and we went into Czechoslovakia, and then we went in. Czechoslovakia belonged to the Russians, and then we went into the East Germany side. We spent there a few days in the East Germany side, and we went in to the West German side, where the Americans were.
How long did you
And
live?
then from there, we spent in Germany about. We came in there 1945, and we lived in Germany. West Germany, 47. Then the owner came in, and they used to feed the people. This was the owner from the American side. They used to give you out food every day. And from there, we didn't know where to go. We should go to Israel, or we should go to America. But everybody wants to go to the United States. And you needed papers to go to the United States. So we used to write to friends who went into the United States in 1945. We used to write to them, and they sent us some papers. And they used to give a car to the owner. We used to buy a car. We bought a car for some Germans' money, and we give to the owner, to the manager, to put us on the paper to go to the United States. This is how we came to the United States.
What do you do? A bug.
Nice.
And then the rest is history, right?
Mhm.
And then the rest is history.
He's a child, and then we met Maya. Maya came into. I don't even remember. Maya came into us, to Poland, or we saw them. I don't know. Maybe they came into Radom too, because they don't know who you live alive. Because
I don't
didn't
remember.
know that we live. She know that we were killed by running away from the lager. So they hang a lot of people.
Who were running away?
Running away, they brought them back and they hang him. And everybody got to go out, 2,000 people got to go out and watch this, how he's hanged by a Jew. They tell a Jew to go up and hang him. And to put the thing on the neck. Everybody got to see this. To scare off everybody. It's a Cornish, what it is. It's went up like this for 5 years.
What one?
Things, it's unbelievable. They dig holes, put in a few hundred and kill them with the thing. Told you to go in to dig the hole. You dig the hole, and they told everybody to go into the hole. They shot them, hundreds of them, at one time. So you didn't believe what a human being can do these things. It's unbelievable. The worst animal is a human being.
So do you ever know what happened to you, where your parents were sent, or your other brothers and sisters?
No, I didn't believe
Where were they
I
sent?
didn't believe it.
Where were they sent?
When anybody going to tell you the stories, you would believe it.
Where were they sent?
We used to find out. You found out 2 years later. When we got after the war, we started to look for them, and then we know. We know before we know that the sender brigade found out that all of these camps are liquidated the Jews. We found out.
Which camp were
In the
they?
camp, in the where you work in this ammunition place, you find out.
Which camp were they sent to?
Hmm?
Which camp were they sent to?
They sent them to a lot of liquidates. Mostly went to used to have Majdanek, you used to have Birkenau, they used to have Auschwitz. They like to kill a lot. But there was a lot of.
But you don't know where your parents were sent.
No, they
There's
don't.
no way of knowing.
They said that they take him to work in a place to give him where to live and everything, and then that they brought him into ovens to blend them up.
Do you think something like this could happen again?
100%. That's the way the world is now. The people, the world didn't know as much. The world didn't know as much as what's now going on. It's unbelievable. This is. I never believed that this could happen, things like this, but the way the things is now, it's goes the same direction. Anti-Semitic more anti-Semitic now than any time before. Before, you know that the Germans hate you. Now everybody hates you.
So you're going home tomorrow, right?
Very cool. We're going to the jungle.
All right, Dad. Good night.
Yeah.
Wave goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.
To learn the right from wrong.
I've always feel I'm behind something. I have to improve it, that's it.
Well, if you stop, everybody,
Uh-huh.
you have to always improve yourself.
Yeah, go back to school again.
It's improved.
It's not
You're
improved.
not so bad, Anna. You're fine.
I'm not so
You're
bad?
fine the way you are.
I could do better? You're laughing, huh, David?
You're okay the way you
You're
are.
laughing. You're laughing. What else you have to tell me?
Is it on already?
Yeah,
I
see?
didn't realize
What
it.
else you have to tell me? He's laughing.
Fix the hair.
I fix my hair. What do you have to tell me? What's the question? What do you want to tell me?
Where were you born?
Where I am born. Oh my God, you don't know those things where I'm born? I'm born in Brussels, in Evere.
What's your
In
name?
Evere.
What's your name?
Oh, my
Who
name.
are you? You're Anna from where? With the feet of the lines here.
This is so cute.
Well, what did you say before? I'm Anna
I'm
from...
Anne from Brussels. From Evere, born in Brussels.
What's Avra?
Evere is a little town. Near, years ago, was the airport, but the airport, now the new airport is not the same. It's called Evere, E-V-E-R-E. Brussels.
What was it like growing up in Brussels?
Well, what's it like to growing up? I can't remember when I was a child. When I was born there, I don't remember. But
As a little girl.
as a little girl, how I was Brussels
I saw a picture of you one time picking apples.
picking apple. No.
Yeah, I saw that photograph
Basket.
also.
You have a
Picking
basket and you have
Yeah,
apples.
I think that might have
Oh,
been my
this
Aunt
is for my
Jean.
sister,
Oh.
not me. My sister.
Oh, okay.
My sister Jean.
Anna never went apple picking.
No. I
Did they have
didn't
any
go-
apple trees in Brussels?
Yeah. The apple tree. No, we didn't go apple tree special.
Do you remember
Brussels
the
is
national
beautiful.
anthem from Brussels?
Yes.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
hear
we'd
it.
like to hear, let's hear that.
Let's hear that
would
national
that would make good coverage.
Let me
It's
remember.
only been 45 years.
God, is
Yeah,
it start,
probably.
God bless America?
Yeah, no, something else. No, it's not the right time to tell me this because I have to remember. No, you're gonna learn. I'm gonna start to sing. You're gonna learn.
What happened?
Oh, ask me something else. Ask me something else. Well, Brussels is nice.
Did you have a nice
Beautiful
house growing
country.
up?
Huh?
You live in a nice neighborhood?
Very nice neighborhood, very nice. We moved twice. Once Rue de Mérode, and the second time we moved Rue de Serbie, 23 Rue de Serbie.
In a house or in an apartment?
A very nice apartment, very nice located.
You own the apartment or?
No, my papa pays rent. He pays rent, and we upstairs it was a beautiful dining room with a nice where my papa was working. Was a tailor, so my papa was working, my mother together
In the house?
in the factory, yes, in the house. And then we had the kitchen downstairs, and I went to school, and I came home every day 12 o'clock to see my parents and having dinner, and then I went back to school. This was the life.
After dinner you went back to school?
After
dinner,
lunch.
sieste. We had a sieste for
Lunch
2
or
hours.
dinner?
Sieste. We had a sieste for 2
Afternoon
hours.
nap. Yeah.
Yes, so we had a sieste for 2 hours. We had dinner. We
So
like
what grade,
supper.
what grade did you go to in school?
Oh, I went to school from 3 years old, kindergarten, to 18, until I became 18.
And then how old were you when the war?
Oh, when the war broke out, I was 9 years old.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
what happened then?
At 9 years old, we went to school, 2 years more, and then we started to go to hiding ourselves because the situation was very critical. It's not, I could talk to you 2 hours
that's
like
fine.
this.
But when you
2 hours.
when you first found out the war was starting,
When the first broke out, the war broke out, I was 9 years old.
And how old were you when,
And
when you
and
went
then
to live with
then
them?
2 years, Lord, 2 years,
and
almost
your
12.
sister was how old?
It's like this,
was you.
August 22nd, 1942. My sister was 3 years old, it was her birthday. August 22nd,
Your birthday's in
my
August.
sister was 3 years old. Her birthday, on her birthday, I went to the convent. This was my day, that was still remember.
You were 9?
I was 12
You were 12.
because
So what did
the
you do
war
for the
broke out
3
when I
years?
was nine.
What happened in those 3 years?
Those 3 years was normal, it was the war.
Yeah.
But then the German came to the house. The German gave you information that we should take all the radios and all the knobs of the door bring over to the German. This was the first thing. You were not allowed to have a TV, you're not allowed to have a radio in the house, and you're not allowed to have knobs on the door. The door was open. This was the first time.
Oh, you
this
mean no
happened.
locks on the
No
door?
locks on the door. Now, after this, the situation became critical. Every day, more critical. And the war broke out. We had a lot of
How did your father get you into the
to the convent. Well, the situation was like this. My papa had a wonderful friend like Richard, and he came to see him. He was a mover. His profession was moving. He was moving. He came to my father and he said, Mr. Goldsmith, the situation is very, very critical. We have to do something with our children. We cannot stay like this.
Was
we
he
have
Jewish?
to hide. He was Jewish. We have to hide ourselves. He had 3 children, 2 sons and 1 little girl, 3 years old, like my sister. And he said, I have to hide my daughter, but because your daughter is much older, will be good to go together. And this is what happened. We finally, my mother went with the lady, Mrs. Lederman. Her name was Mrs. Lederman, and we went looking house to house, convent to convent, to find a new place where to hide our children. And this is what happened. After so many days and hours, they find a place, and we got accepted.
How far was it from where your parents were living?
Very far, about 2.5 hours by car. Very, very far.
That's
It was
far.
out of town à l'Ermite.
Where was it?
À l'Ermite, à Bruxelles. À l'Ermite. Braine-l'Alleud. The place was calling Braine-l'Alleud, l'Ermite. L'Ermite is a little town. Braine-l'Alleud is the town like here, like Brussels.
Is that orphanage? Is that convent still there today?
Oh, the convent is still there, yes. I'm still writing to them letters. I'm still in touch with the nun, one of the nuns, only one. There were 4 nuns. Mère Elisabeth, Sœur Supérieure, Sœur Hubert, and Sœur Bernadette. So Mère Elisabeth was the mother, and Sœur Supérieure was, she was directing the place, and Sœur Bernadette, Sœur Hubert. Sœur Hubert was the nun. She slept with us in the bedrooms and in the dining room. And Sœur Bernadette was cooking. She was cooking meals for us.
Did Grandpa have to pay for you to go to
And
this?
my parents would pay, yeah. Yeah, my parents would pay every monthly, like rent, every monthly.
But they said that
$350.
you were an orphan?
Pardon?
They said you were an orphan? That you were an orphan?
No, we're not orphans. We were not orphans.
Just children going to school there?
Yeah, it was many other children from orphanage, from the other kids. There were 13 Jewish children. Little by little, it came down more children. 13 Jewish little children.
But did they say you
I
had
was
no
the
parents?
oldest.
Did
Pardon?
they say you had no parents, or they,
What,
you were
what
just
Marilyn means is when
No.
the Germans come to see if there were any Jewish children there.
No, they didn't came looking for Jewish children. Thank God for that. They didn't came. But other things happened, you know. I stayed 1942 to 1944. 1945 I came home. The end of 1944. It's not good to talk like this because I should prepare myself those things.
This is
you know?
fine.
No,
It's,
no
it's,
good.
it's good.
So, all right, the only thing is like this. I could speak to you and speak to you and we will never have an end to it. Okay?
We just want to know that.
I have plenty of time.
You have plenty of time? All right, I'll give you plenty of time.
So so how did they raise you there?
Oh, they took care of me, and I was a child, you know, and I went to, in the morning, we had breakfast, we dressed up ourselves, we went downstairs, eating breakfast, then I went to school, there was a school there too.
Did you watch that other little 3-year-old girl and your sister?
Oh yeah, she had a little girl, 3 years old, my sister was 3 years old, and then she had 2 sons, but her 2 sons was not, they were not allowed to come because this place was only for girls.
So where did your brother go?
Wait, but the situation became very critical. 2 months later, I didn't see my mother for 3 months. And my mother came once, after 3 months. And when I saw my mother, I'm afraid, you're going to make your son cry. You know, your little boy going to cry. You know, my mother, I saw my mother, I said, where's Daddy? Where is Daddy? I want to speak to Daddy. Well, Daddy's here. Then my mother said, your father's here. No, I don't believe you. I want to see my father right away. You have to bring me my daddy. So what happened? My mother came 3 months later, and she came with my father. And this is the way I knew my father was here. And then,
What happened tomorrow? What happened tomorrow?
my brother was
Yeah.
7 years old.
Where was he?
Wait, so my mother came, and then after 6 months, my mother came, and she came with my brother. And she explained the situation to Sœur Supérieure. She was telling her, Mrs. Sœur Supérieure, it's so critical, the situation is so bad, that please accept my son for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. A little bit, you should stay there, otherwise it's so dangerous. And she accepted him. And then my brother was with me 7 months. And after this, the young man, the father of the little girl came back and he said to Mrs. Goldsmith, I want to see your mother. So Mr. Lederman said to me, I said, where's your mother? I want to speak to her. So he said, I said, my mother's not here. I don't know when she's coming. She never calls me, she never writes to me, and I really don't know. But one day they got caught up, they met each other, and he said like this, Mrs. Goldsmith, if you're not going to send your son home, I'm going to tell to the German that the Jewish people live here.
Who said that?
This man. So my mother took my brother
Which man?
home.
Which man said that?
Mr. Lederman.
But he himself had Jewish children there.
That's right.
So why would
He
he?
was mad because he
His
wants
son,
his 2
his
children
boy.
too.
His
His 2
boy.
boys. He wanted to be like here. He wanted to hide his 2 boys. This was a special place. And my brother was working with the domestic, with the superman, with the super, because he was he was working on the.
So what did they do with Mark when they got him home?
Huh?
What did they do with Mark?
It was critical, very critical, very. And one day, my mother went in the street every morning, looking around the street in Brussels. She used to live in Hachette. and she come home, and she said to my father, it's very critical. They're going house to house, looking for Jewish people to be arrested. What are we going to do now? So my mother gave him a bread to my brother and a little money, and go over to those people, to other people that my mother knew about.
Catholic?
To overnight, not to other people, because my papa was a tailor and he was making suits for the men.
He went to other Jewish people?
No, you went to
Right.
other people that were not Jewish, to some friend of my papa knew,
Right.
the one who hired him,
Right.
and he was
Who hired
my
who?
papa, where he hired my father.
Your
my
parents were
parents.
hidden?
My parent was hiding,
I
sure.
thought they were making suits. Didn't you tell me they
He
made?
was making suits, yes, but he was hiding. He couldn't go out in the street like everybody else. He was hiding. Only my mother went out in the street, not my father.
How come she could go out?
She went out. She took chances. She took chances. Otherwise, she could have been arrested too, with the Gestapo. Gestapo went everywhere in the street, on the bus, everywhere.
So they were hiding in someone else's house, your parents?
Huh?
Your parents were hiding in someone else's house?
Yes. It's I can't even tell you so much. It's so much problem.
So how were they making suits if they were hiding?
Well, they were making suits. You see, the war broke out in Brussels, and the Belgian cutter went to the Belgian army, and the man was telling Mr. Goldsmith, it's so critical here. How about working for me as a cutter, as a fitter? I need you so badly. The cutter went to the army, and he was working 2 years, from 1939 to 1942. And after 1942, it was critical. So he couldn't work anymore. So he hired him to be able to make the suits for him. Otherwise, he didn't have a tailor.
Oh, I see.
And my papa, the man, what's his name was? I don't know. What's his name? I don't know his
Where
name.
did they hide them?
Out of town. And then in the capital, Brussels, after. You know what happened? My papa came to see me in the convent, and they went back to the miners. They were miners. And you know what happened? They said, Mr. Goldsmith, you don't live no more here. Go away. And he took away his clothes. And I'm changing the conversation.
Why did they say
And
that?
he took away his,
Why did they
he
say
didn't
that?
want to have him anymore. So he took away his clothes, and he's in the street. No
So
home.
where did he go?
No home, no nothing. So what happened? My father went to the barber, made himself a shave, a haircut, and the barber said to him, what's your name? Jacques? My name is Jacques. What happened to you? You look very desperate. Is something wrong here? Can you tell me something? And he was afraid to tell him. But eventually he told him that he's Jewish, and that his friend threw him out. He wanted to see me. So he said to him, you go over to him and tell him that I send you, and he should give you right away the clothes. And he gave him right away.
Who did?
Because
Who did?
the people where he was hiding by the miners. And then later on he went back, the boss from the tailor went back to the capital.
So where was your mother and Mark all this time?
Now my brother went back home, and there's another story. And he came back to see my mother at night, and thank God they were not arrested. Those things the Gestapo did not arrest them. And the next day my mother found another lady, and the Solidarité, they call it Solidarité, is the name of the company. And there were special people for hiding children. So my mother trying to save her son, and he went to France, near on the border of France. And over there my brother was hiding the rest of the war.
Who hid him?
The government, La Solidarité, the special organization, Jewish people were trying to save children. And this what happened. And then my mother come to see me every 3 months. No phone call, no writing letters. It was very critical. And this what happened. But the German did not come to the convent because
You were lucky.
I was very, very lucky. Very lucky. And the nuns were very nice people, very nice. I didn't have no problem. They loved me very much, and I had a nice home. I was there more than 2 years, 3.5 years,
You
almost 4
you
years.
didn't celebrate the Jewish holidays or anything like that?
Nothing, no celebrating Jewish holiday, no nothing. It was
We
very...
celebrate Easter.
We celebrate Easter and Christmas, yeah. And I never went home. It was not so pleasant not to go home. All the Christian kids went home, and I stayed home alone.
And your poor sister, she was 3.
My little sister was 3 years old, and by the time I went home, she was 6, and I was almost 16. You see? I was 12, and I came home and I was 16. So, which is better? No good. But we saved our life, so they were my friends. And I still write to them, and I still
Do you stay
in
in
touch
touch with
them.
any of the other children?
Yeah. No, I have to go back to Brussels now.
You never stayed in contact
What
with
happened to
them?
that other little 3-year-old girl? We don't know.
Yeah, she's married and she lives in Spain. Now she lives in Spain. But the father was arrested.
And what happened to her boys?
The father was arrested through the Gestapo. The father was arrested, and the boys are alive, and the mother's alive. Yeah. But the father, they never came back after the war. He passed away. They killed him. The German took him to the concentration camp.
Well,
The father, yeah, from Lederman. Yeah, no, so,
you don't keep in contact with these people?
No.
Really?
no.
He didn't turn out to be such a nice guy. He won't
No.
do this anymore.
Well, but, you know,
I know.
He was trying
He was trying
to
to
himself.
for his
trying to
son.
save his kids.
Right.
So look, he wanted for his best for his kids.
How come they wouldn't take his kids also?
They don't take boys, only girls.
Did them
But my
special
brother
care.
was so quiet. I'm shaking like that. My brother was so quiet. He was like a little girl, so he was working with the domestic, with a
Yeah,
janitor. You know, he was working on the field, on the potatoes field, and on, you know, he helped him with the cows. We had cows and we had pigs and all kind of little farm there. And this is the way. The nun was very nice. You know where she took me, the nun? To the cardinal. I went to the cardinal with the nun. You know, yeah. The
What'd you do
cardinal
there?
was in jail. The Gestapo put him in jail. The cardinal, yeah.
And what did you do?
Huh?
What did you do?
Well, he just came out of a jail, so the cardinal used to say, Mary Elizabeth, what you doing to that little girl? She has to be hidden. It's no good to go with her in the street. It's very dangerous. I just came out from jail. What are you doing to that little girl? You have to.
Why was the cardinal in jail?
The German put him in jail.
For what reason? Because he's...
Probably for no reason. They want to put him in jail. He's lucky they did not kill him. Very lucky. And when he saw me, you know, he didn't want me, I should go in the street. He wanted to hide me, he wanted to protect me. And the nun said, no, Anna needs fresh air. I need fresh air. No. And every time she wants to take me somewhere, I say, Mary Elizabeth, please don't take me. I want to be here. No, you need fresh air. You have to go with me.
She liked you?
Oh, yeah, they love me. They love me very much. Not one nun is allowed to go from one room to another. I was allowed. She took me everywhere. And I was allowed to go in her room. And then she showed me, she keeps stamps for where she hides the stamps for food. Because in case anything critical comes around, maybe Gestapo will come, I will know where to stand. She was ready. You know what she's saying? That in case the Gestapo knows she had 13 children, they would kill her.
Of course.
They would kill her, all of them.
Yeah.
But she showed me where she hid the stamps, and then she told me, when the Gestapo gonna come, I should take all the little Jewish children and go away with them on the field. I said, I can't do that. I can't take all the kids with me. I only could take my sister. I can't take everybody. I'm gonna be attacked. They're gonna arrest me. So I didn't do it. But the Gestapo didn't come. They came only once to put a big machine, a canon. They call it a canon, you know, a mitraillette, a big machine in the middle of the garden, and to shoot all American planes. This is true. They were coming every day, throwing down bombs on the floor to, you know, to kill the German. And this is the story. And when the German came, in the summer, in July or August, the American army came to see us on the road. They were passing the road. We shake hands with them. We say hello to the American people. You know, this was nice. No.
So you never could speak any Yiddish, you only had to speak
I
French?
speak French.
French, only French?
All the time.
How about your sister? Did she ever slip?
No, my sister spoke French. When my sister was 3 years old, she said, "Mommy, please, give me a gun. I'm going to shoot all the German." It's true. I'm going to shoot all the German. Why I'm here? She was crying.
Yeah, she's so
She
little,
didn't
she
want
didn't
to.
understand.
She didn't want
3 years
to.
old.
She's born
3
in
years.
Justin's age.
Yeah.
I want to go home.
Just
Why
as
I'm
they-
here? Why I'm here? Why? I want to go home. I don't want to stay here. And she said, "I'm going to kill all the Germans. Give me a gun."
Did you get to eat with her
She
and
was
sleep
smart.
with her?
Yeah, I have my room. No, she slept in her little room, and I slept in my little room.
You had your own room?
Yeah, I had my little room. You know, it was a big room like that, with the lights,
Oh,
with the
yeah.
curtains,
Yeah.
and I had my bed with a little closet, and my sister was next to me, you know, and the little girl that I was taking care of her, and every mother came to see, 13 children, every mother, every Jewish mother came to see her baby, came to me, and they asked me a favor. I should watch everybody. I should watch the children.
Because you were the oldest.
Yeah, I was the oldest, at 14 and
Yeah.
15, and this was a story. Now, was another girl, my age, she ran away. She picked herself up and she ran away. I was scared.
Why would she do that?
She didn't want to stay there. She didn't want to stay.
What happened to her?
I don't know what happened. I never heard after the war. Her mother was arrested, and she ran away, and she went to see her father.
That wasn't
She
such a
ran
good
away.
idea.
No, it was dangerous, critical.
And she never know if she would have told or anything?
Oh no! Very, very. We didn't realize how critical it was. And I have pictures. I have all kind of pictures. I'll show you the pictures.
Who took the pictures?
I have it.
Who took them?
What do you mean who took them?
When
I
you-
have pictures from the convent. I have
Who took
pictures.
the pictures? Who took those pictures?
A photograph.
The nuns?
I have
Did the nuns
pictures.
take the pictures?
No, after the war.
Oh, after the
I
war.
made pictures, for the nun. I have the convent, the pictures. They wrote me letters, and I sent always a little gift, a nice little gift on Christmas time. And one is still alive, I hope so. I don't know, she's in the 80s. I have to write another letter to her. I stopped writing for a long time, I should write again. But every year I used to write letters, and I used to write the first time when I came to New York to a teacher, a kindergarten teacher. She used to take care of Jean. And she said, "Please, Anna, try to write letters to the nuns. They're so lonely." And that's what I did. Because she passed away, she got sick. So it was nobody writing for her, because I used to write to her, and she used to give the news to the nuns. But she didn't want to tell me the truth that she was sick.
Why do you think these people risk their lives to stay?
Why?
Why?
Oh, they're good citizens. They're good people. They're good, down to earth. They're good people. They try to save a lot of life. And this is what happened. Now I know another lady, Mrs. Sherman, a friend of my mother, and she gave away her baby during the war to another convent. And she never knew where she was. She never knew where to, they did not give the address. And that lady was going around crazy, looking around, where's my daughter? Where's my
How
child?
old was she?
Well, she was 9 years old. No, she was, 3 years old too. Maybe 4 years or 5 years.
What happened to her?
It was Debbie's girl, Jean's girl.
What happened to her?
She was in the convent and looking in the, and then a whole year, she was going around crazy, the mother, looking, oh my God, I gave away my child, I don't know, I have no address, I have no telephone. What shall I do? And she went looking for her, and she finally, a year later, she found the lady in the street. And she said, "What did you do to me? I have no address." She took her over there, and she saw the daughter. Thank God they're both here. This is very important. They came. She found her daughter, and she found the lady, and the war was finished, and thank God they're here in New York.
You stay in touch with them?
Yes,
Who is
Mrs.
it?
Sherman. Oh, you don't know. You don't know. It's a good friend of my mother, of my father. He was a tailor, and my papa was a tailor. And this is what they know. Sure, Julia Lucienne. Her name is Lucienne. Oh, now her son is maybe 25 years old. Her son.
Did you ever have to wear those stars on you?
Stars? What stars?
You know those yellow stars?
What's the
Nice.
stars? What
They,
kind of
they
stars?
used to give the Jewish children stars.
Oh yeah, after the war broke out, 1939, it was allowed to wear a Jewish star on your blouse, wherever you go. And everybody used to go with a, you know, they used to go with a newspaper like that. You used to hide it. You didn't want to wear like this. You didn't want to show that you're Jewish. But, and then we used to wear a long time the Jewish star. And then after this, you were not allowed to go out in the street after 8:30 at night. You're not allowed to go out. If you go out 8:30, they kill you in the street.
What year was this?
39 to 1942. You're not allowed to go out in the street. And then other things popped up, you know, always something that was not normal, really. You know, then they used to give you the knobs of the door and the radio later on. It started like this with a star. You know?
I remember one time your father was telling me a story about how he had to take a train and he almost got caught.
That was my grandmother.
It was my mother,
Was your mother?
about the Trillim.
Yeah.
The Trillim. This was terrible because he was hiding by the miners and he couldn't go back to the house. So my papa had a dream and he had nothing to do. He was bored. He said, Fanny, please go to the apartment and bring me the Trillim. My God, you know what it means to go to take the Trillim? It's dangerous. Please, Fanny, I need it so badly. So she went at night to her apartment, Rue de Serbie, 23 Rue de Serbie, and at night, and she went with a match looking what she could find. She took a knife and she took some coal to make warm the house, you know, coal. And she took a very important thing. And
She wasn't allowed to be in her house anymore.
She was not allowed. It was dangerous. And she took the Trillim, and her neighbor upstairs, a Jewish neighbor, said, Mrs. Golson, please sleep tonight in your house. Oh, no, I cannot sleep tonight. It's very critical. You cannot stay here. But Mrs. Goldsmith, they're not going to arrest you. I think the situation got better. No. So my mother went away, and that night the Gestapo came to her house. Somebody called up the Gestapo, and they say they announced that Mrs. Goldsmith came back to her own apartment. So there was mooses. You know what's a moose? Somebody who tells what?
Snitch.
A snitch.
There were mooses.
Well, why was the Jewish lady upstairs allowed to be in her apartment?
Wait, what happened to her? That lady, her lady is Mrs. Harp. She went down, when she saw the Gestapo coming 6 o'clock in the morning, she went down to the double cellar and she was shaking like a leaf because Gestapo was breaking the door and coming in and see where's Mrs. Goldsmith. And they were looking upstairs and looking downstairs, and then they heard that she drops the key. So the Gestapo went to the double cellar and they arrested her. And just what happened, my mother was not arrested because she ran the night before.
So if they arrested her, what happened to her?
She never came back.
Where did they send her away?
They sent her to the concentration camp.
So
What
what
are you
happened to
talking
your mother?
about?
How did your mother get back?
The same day, the morning that she left, the next day, the man from the store, from the tailor man, from the department store, because he had a big department store like Macy's, you know. He came to pick my mother. She slept by him, and then the next day she went to the train to go to the town. I don't know the name of the town. Mona town, something like that. I don't know the name of the town.
Where your father was?
Where my father is, they put a bomb under the train. The Gestapo put a bomb, somebody put a bomb under the train. It was Gestapo on the train. It was German. They want to, but thank God they caught the bomb and they took away the bomb. And then by the time my mother came home, so my mother was saying to my father, you see what you did to me? I was almost killed. The bomb could be exploded. I could be arrested in Rue de Serbie in that apartment. And thank God I'm alive. And this is what happened with the Trillim. My papa was davening with those Trillim many years with it. And we bring him a lot of good luck. A lot of good luck. And I want to give it to you for your own child.
I have the tefillin here in the house.
You have the Trillim?
I have Grandpa's tefillin.
You have it?
Grandpa had 2 sets of tefillin.
But those Trillim is from my father when he got it from his aunt in New York, from his bar mitzvah. You understand?
From whose bar mitzvah?
My father's bar mitzvah.
That's not the tefillin I had, that's another set of tefillin.
So I have the
You have
tefillin
the
home.
originals.
I
have
have
another too.
I have the
I'll show
tefillin.
it to you.
Okay. I had the tefillin too. It was from his aunt from New York for many, many years. That aunt sent him to Poland for his bar mitzvah. And that's why, this is the tefillin you want my mother should go to pick it up. I'm asking you. So, what you think? Now you're laughing. You got the whole story
So
on the
actually,
microphone.
no, well, the story on the microphone is Grandpa,
Yes.
your father,
Yeah.
is from the same town
Yes.
as Max.
Right. He's a Radomer.
He's a Radham.
Yes. And my mother too.
And they left Radham
They left Radomer in 1926.
way before World War
Well, my
II.
papa ran SS as a deserter because he didn't want to go to the Russian army,
Polish army.
to the Polish army, Russian army. It was the Russian version, the Cossacks. And he wanted to go to the
He's going way back.
Cossacks. And he didn't want to go to the army. So he was the only son in the house. There were 4 children. My father comes from 4 children. There were 3 girls and 1 son. And my father went away to Belgium as a deserter. He never went back to Poland. He never saw his parents, never.
Never saw his parents
He
again.
never saw his
Well,
parents,
wait a
never in
second.
life.
He had, how old was he when he left Poland?
How old? He was young, 20 years old.
Was he
No,
married? Was he married
He
to
was
Grandma
not
Radham?
married, no. And then he came to
He
Brussels.
saw his sister.
No, Aunt Rose,
Rose.
is grandma's
What,
grandma's
that's your
sister.
grandma.
My aunt, his sister, my Aunt Rose was in New York. And he went to Brussels.
She's the one that sent it to Phil and Aunt Rose?
No,
That was
my
his
mother,
sister.
my mother sent another aunt.
No, your mother's
So
sister.
did any of
Another
his sisters survive?
Come on.
Did any of his sisters
Aunt
survive?
Rose survived.
Only my aunt.
Aunt Rose, she
I
lives
want
here in West Palm
sister.
Beach.
That's his sister?
Century
Yeah,
Village.
yes, his sister.
So how come he never talked to her?
I talked to her a little bit, not too much.
Why?
Because she's a little bit
What happened to his other 2 sisters?
arrested from the Gestapo.
Sent to concentration
How did she
camp?
live?
Concentration
how
camp.
did
They had
Rose live?
children, huh?
How did Rose live?
What do you mean they had children? You mean they never left, they never went to Brussels?
No.
They stayed in Poland?
That's right, and they
The
were
2 sisters,
killed.
the parents.
They have children. Oh.
What about grandma's parents?
Grandma's parents, 8 children. And only my mother's alive and my uncle is alive from Israel.
Oh, Uncle, right, from
Uncle
from
Max,
Canada.
yeah.
Uncle Max.
Two
He was
children
in
from
Poland.
8. What's his 8 children? It's a terrible thing.
So grandma left Radham also
And grandma left before to Brussels.
and sent for grandpa.
She had papers to go to Israel and she had papers to go to Belgium. And her brother left to Brussels before my
Uncle
mother.
Max. Max, grandma's brother.
Why did she
Yeah.
leave?
An uncle, her brother, my mother's brother.
What is his name?
The oldest brother, Abi.
Okay.
Abi Kroll.
Carl.
My mother's is Kroll.
Right.
And he was Abi Kroll. And he went to Brussels. And then a couple of years later, he made paper and she went to Brussels. And then my father came to see her. And they got married.
Well, they were dating at the time.
Ah, sure, they were dating. They know each other from way, way back. A long time ago. And this was happened. My mother was pretty.
So grandma's parents and the other 6 brothers or sisters,
Finished.
they-
Gestapo destroyed them. They killed them for good.
you-
Yeah, only my uncle, Uncle Max, went to Israel before the war, and he stayed there.
And then he went
Then
to
my
Canada.
grandmother went in 1937, before the war broke out. My grandmother, my grandfather, her mother, her father, went to Israel for 2 years. In 1939, they came back. 1937, 1939, they came back, and they couldn't go back no
War
more. They got
broke out.
killed. But they stayed 2 years in Israel.
So they had 2 years of killing.
And this is what happened. This is the whole life. Life should be beautiful, right? Life should be good. But how can it be beautiful?
Do you think something like this could ever happen again?
Yeah, yeah. I believe very deeply.
Why?
Yeah. In another way. Not the same way exactly. I don't say it should be the same way, God forbid. But it might happen maybe in 200 years, maybe in 50 years. It could happen. From experience that I have, it could happen. Yeah. Thank God I didn't go to the concentration camp. I was safe. My papa saved me. Sure. Thank God. those things happened very fast. You could see what happened in the. You could see what happened now in the. They're talking about. They talk a lot. They talk a lot about. Talk about. They say, what are you talking about, David? I went on Avenue J in Brooklyn. Look what happened to me on Avenue J. I was waiting for the subway, and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. Over the sun, across the street on the other side, I saw a mark, a Jewish mark, I call it, a wasp. A wasp, we call it?
Swastika.
A swastika. Beautiful swastika, paint in black. And I said to myself, what's going on with that swastika? Nobody takes it off. It bothered me so much. Why? Every time I come to the subway and I see that lousy, how you call that? Wastic. And the next day, a few days later, it still bothered me. I went down to the Jewish fruit man, and I said, look, I want to talk to you, something very personally. I'm not relaxed. I feel we're all Jewish here, and I see a swastika on the top of the subway. Can you please remove it? Maybe you could do this for me. He comes from Israel, that young man. And it bothered me. I said, this cannot be like this. And one day, they were saying all the Jewish people got to light a candle to give honor for the Jewish people in Germany. I don't know, the Kristallnacht. The Kristallnacht. We should memory and give honor for the Jewish people for that day, because that day the German attacked Germany and they killed all the Jewish people, the German Jewish people, and we should give respect. But that day, I didn't see no more the swastika, no more, because somebody did it. Maybe the vegetable man did it. He took it off. But it bothered me. I would not let it go. I would not let this. Every time you go to the subway, you see that kind of, after, since 1942, to see that is terrible. Those things should not happen anymore. No way. And this happened day by day, something else and something else. And then it could happen, yeah. Those things could happen. If you don't take care of it, it could happen, yeah. It's not a lie, David. You have to take care of it. I don't know how and when, but you have to take care, you know. Otherwise, I don't know what's the best way to do. I'm not smart enough. I don't know. I'm not brilliant, but look, you have to send me a rider. I have to make a book. I could write you more. I could tell you more, much more. Believe me. And then you know what my mother did as a present? During the war, Mama was a tailor, you know, my papa, my mother. You know what they did? During the war, it was very, very difficult to find a coat for a little girl. She was Mary Elizabeth took care of 2 little children. They were not Jewish, and they were poor. And my mother went, and she took a blanket, and she made a little coat for that little girl. And that coat was so gorgeous, from a blanket. And she bought it as a gift for the nun, to give it for the little boy and the little girl. I don't know how much coat she made, 1 or 2, but she made a coat for those 2 kids for the winter. From a blanket, I'm telling you. She was amazed, the nun. I was so happy that the kids had a warm coat. And and you know what Grandma did when she came to see me? After 3 months, she slept over the night. And you know where she slept? In the cardinal's room.
Was he in jail at the time?
No, he was not in jail. Not this cardinal, another one. This cardinal used to come once a year or every 6 months to pray.
Was he there at the time?
No, he wasn't there. But she offered him the room, and she said, don't see anybody where she sleep. She offered him in the cardinal's room, and nobody knew where she was sleeping, you know. In the cardinal's room, it was so holy. It was so holy. The room was so holy, I'm telling you. Nobody was allowed to go to that room. Nobody. But my mother went to that room, and she slept overnight. And the next day, she went away at home, you know. It's unbelievable, So it was a big honor. And
Did she bring you anything when she was
She
visiting?
slept, my papa too that night. He slept too that night. What?
Oh, they both slept there?
Yes, they both slept
Oh.
there. And then my mother came by herself, so she slept there too, yeah.
Did they used to bring you things when they would visit?
Oh yeah, my mother come to see me and she bring me her own food. She gave away her own food for me. I should have the food. And I did not eat the food. I gave it to my sister.
That sounds like you, then.
Because she didn't want to eat. She was a bad eater, Debbie, Jean. Jean was a very bad eater.
Was the food good?
Oh, yeah, it was good. I gave it to my sister. I was hungry
No, not
myself.
that, but was the food they cooked at the convent good?
Well, we didn't eat too much. We only ate a little soup, like cream of farina. And this was a soup, a little soup, that's it. We didn't have too much food. We had sometime on the holidays their own food, like lamb. We had on Christmas time lamb. We
Lamb.
had vegetable, not too much,
So
we did a lot of things. You know what they used to do to me? They used to invite me. I should go to the garden to pick up strawberries to put away for the nun. They should. I didn't like strawberries. I should have strawberries. And then you know what the nun did to me? She was very nice to me. At night, she used to give me in my room. Nobody knew about it. I should have sweet cream. She gave me sweet cream once in a while. They make butter
Yeah.
because they had cows.
Oh.
They made a lot of milk. And from the milk, they make butter for
Well, what do
them.
you do with sweet cream? Is it,
Pardon?
you
I
drink
was
it like
very
milk?
undernourished.
You drink it like milk?
Yeah, I drink it. I was very undernourished. I was skinny little girl, but I should build myself better. So she gave me sweet cream.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, a little bottle,
That's nice.
sweet cream. Yeah, they were nice. You see how nice they were. They
You were
were not
lucky,
harm.
you were lucky.
I was so lucky. And they invite me, I should go to the, she invite me once in a while, I should go upstairs to the attic. In the attic, I had to pick up onions and other things. They told me what to bring. They were afraid to go upstairs. I should go to the attic.
Why were they afraid?
You know why? There were rats upstairs. There were big rats like this.
Were you afraid?
Well, I was running away, But I saw them. When I opened the door, they were like 6,
It's
7.
like, ever read that story, Madeline? Where the
What?
Madeline, it's a story about a girl and friends, and she's
Yeah,
not
I
afraid.
used to meet them, but when I know the secret, she told me to go again. I said, no, I don't want to go. You go bring me the onions. And what happened?
Why were there onions in the attic?
I don't know.
They keep-
because
they stay good in
up
the
there,
attic 'cause it's
you know,
cool.
Yeah,
Well, you
that's
figure the
fine.
rats would eat them, wouldn't they?
Well, they were sure.
That's a
they
good
were-
idea, that's
well,
true.
But you know what happened to me one time? The American prince was coming. The American prince once a while at night, and we're not allowed to light up the light. Everything was dark, pitch dark, and I had to, and the siren. I was so much afraid. I was frightened. So I took my sister in my arm with a big blanket, and I stepped over the blanket, and I fell down a lot of steps. The steps were very wide. And I rolled up down the steps with my sister together, and I faint. And the domestic, everybody fell over me because everybody was running to go down the cellar. They were throwing bombs everywhere. And I faint, I didn't know from nothing. And I wake up downstairs in the basement in his arm, and he was holding me, And where am I? What happened to me? Where's my sister,
Was she okay?
And she was okay. And I was afraid to go up again. So I stayed downstairs. Then 2 hours later, the siren came again, and they went upstairs to sleep. I was afraid to go up. So I stayed downstairs all by myself. Then I saw the domestic once invite me, I should go to his room. I said, no, I have to go back.
Oh, boy.
I didn't know. I went upstairs right away. But I was afraid for the dark. And then another thing, I could tell you stories, David. I could tell stories, so many stories. Then there's another story. This I don't want to say, it's going to be too scary for me.
No,
It's going to be
I don't
scary.
scare easily.
You don't scare? Is this time you will scare? You'll be scared.
I won't be scared.
No?
Oh, I think the tape is running.
You better finish it quick.
So
Yeah.
one of the Mary Elizabeth lost her sister, and her sister was in the other room, in one of the rooms. And the domestic, one Saturday night, he knocks on the door, and he wants help. So the nun didn't want to go down, 2 flights down, to open the door. So she said, Anna, wake up, wake up. And I make believe I don't hear. But finally she come to my room, she said, please go down. Go downstairs. Open the door downstairs. So I went downstairs and I opened the door, but I was scared for the dark, and I was scared for the woman there who was in the other room. So what happened? I got lost, and I went to the chapel. You know, it was a room where the people pray. It was a red little light, and I knew this was a chapel, and I was so scared that I ran over the chairs. I ran over to the chairs. I finally opened the door. Then I knew where I was. I ran over the other side and I opened the other way. And I was so scared. I can't believe it. I was afraid to go to the other room where the dead person is, because she was dead. And I was afraid to open the door. I finally opened the door and the domestic came in. And I ran first upstairs to my room like you never heard in your life, because I was afraid for that person. I was a child.
Why did you have to open the door?
Huh?
Why did you have to open the door?
For the domestic. He went to have a beer. He went out. He didn't have the key. I had to open the door. So she sent me to open the door. Come on, man. It's terrible.
Well, I'm not exactly shaking, Anna.
You're not shaking.
It was scary. It was scary.
Sure.
When you were a kid.
I was afraid to go.
When you were a kid.
Sure. I was scared to go to that room. I knew the nun is not alive. The sister's nun is not alive. The next day was another day. Oh my God, I was scared.
Did they have a funeral?
Sure, they had a funeral. Sure.
Did you go?
Yeah, I went too. I went to the funeral too. I was scared too. But I'm more scared when the lady is in the dark room there. Come on, Madeline, you're not scared?
It's hard to imagine. I think in a scary church.
It makes me scared. I was a kid.
Dead person.
What do you know?
I think it could be pretty scary.
I was a child too. Let's face it. You know, I could tell you another story, but forget about the story.
I'll tell you what, one more story, because the tape
One
is,
more story?
I see there's not much
All
time
right,
left in
so
this tape.
she invited me. She said, Anna, today all the mothers coming to see the children. I should make fire. I should make warm in that room. Years ago they had a little oven. They had a little oven, and you make fire. All right, okay, Mary Elizabeth, I'm gonna make fire, and I make fire with wood that was wet, and it started to smoke. The whole oven started to smoke. The room full of smoke. And
did you ever make a fire before?
I was making fire, but the room was smoking. And it was so much smoke that I opened the door. And I was crying against the wall, and I was crying, I can't make fire. And what happened? I heard a noise, Anna. Oh my God, where's Anna? Somebody calls me, Anna. Oh my God, it's my mother. I heard a voice. I turned around, I saw my mother. Oh, I ran over and I kissed her and I hugged her. So my mother said, what are you doing here? What's a fire here? And she said, Ma, I can't make fire. It's so the nun told me to make warm in this room, and I can't make fire. Look what happened to me. I'm going to make fire. I'm going to make a good job. And my mother helped me, and the fire became, the little oven became, the coal, the wood got dry, and everything was all right. And then she stayed with me a few hours. She came to see me after 3 months. I was so happy to see my mother.
Do all the children get visitors?
Yes, all the mothers, but they don't come all the time. But they were expecting visiting, the non-Jewish with the Jewish, But this is what happened, that my mother came to survive me. I was so happy, to see my mother, and she helped me with the fire. And this is the story, Then since then, my mother complained to the nun, and I never made anymore. I never was involved to make any fire here.
I think
so
that's just as
this
well.
Was helping, this was helping my situation, and I became a hero, not to make fire. And okay, what else you want to know, David?
Any final words before this ends?
Any final word? The final word that not one Jewish child should be in this situation anymore. Should be peace on earth. That's it. And no crematorium, and no killing, and should be peace.
L'chaim.
Should be peace. Shalom.